Alrighty, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be giving you 6 tips that you should use when buying your first BMX bike. Alrighty, tip number 1. Before you go out and buy a really expensive BMX bike, I suggest that you go out and you have your interest sparked in BMX in the first place. So this means that you don't go out and buy a really expensive bike and then maybe in a month or two, you decide that BMX isn't for you. You should first decide that BMX is for you and then purchase a bike. Tip number 2. Where should I go and buy my BMX bike? The first place I would recommend to buy a bike, if you want to save some cash, I would look up secondhand used websites like Craigslist, OfferUp, LetGo. These websites offer really good deals on bikes that people ended up not wanting or they don't use or they don't ride. So these people are willing to bargain with you to get rid of their old stuff. Buying a bike off of these websites can be really beneficial to your wallet, but also I would be aware that sometimes if a deal is too good to be true, most likely the bike that's being sold is stolen. So I would keep an eye out for that because that can get you into some trouble. The second place that I'd recommend that you would buy a bike would be at a local bike shop. If you don't know of any local bike shops in your area, just do a quick Google search and I guarantee you there should be a bike shop within 20 to 30 miles of you. When you buy a bike from a local bike shop, this is good because you support your community and you support your local businesses. This can be beneficial to you and to the business because a relationship could ensue if you are consistently buying bikes, parts, or having repairs done at the bike shop. This also may lead to possible opportunities in the future, which can lead to sponsorships, which can lead to jobs. So when you shop local, you build a relationship and you help out your local scene. The third place to buy a bike would be online. Out of the 3, I don't recommend buying a bike online because it leaves a lot to question, like bike quality, how the bike will fit for you. There's also things like returns if you don't like it, but there are also some really good positives to buying a bike online, which include getting really good deals on bikes because sometimes online retailers have a lot of backstock inventory that they need to get rid of, so you can buy bikes on discounts. Also, online bike shops have a wide variety of parts and brands that you can choose from that your local may not have. Another downside to buying online is that you don't support local bike communities like you would if you went to a bike shop. A prime example of this is Dance Comp. When I made this video 3 years ago, Dance Comp was a really popular bike online retailer and they have since lost their footprint in the BMX world. They dropped their whole entire BMX team. They don't support BMX anymore. They try to appear that they do, but I haven't seen much of their footprint in a couple of years. So today's equivalent is Source BMX. So they try to convince the customer that they support BMX, which they do, but it's a lot smaller than a local bike shop would. Tip number 3, what type of riding should I do? So in BMX, there are 4 different styles of riding. There's street, park, dirt, and flatland. Out of the 4, street riding is the most popular. I believe it's the most popular because it's the most accessible to anybody that has a bike. You don't have to have a set of trails, you don't have to have a skate park, so it is very popular with people that don't have resources. Street BMX requires a shorter frame, a shorter back end, 4 pegs. This type of riding includes a lot of spinning, which means that you need shorter geometry to spin faster because you don't have as much air between your bike and the floor. Another thing that you might want to look into when riding street BMX is a free coaster. It's pretty popular. I like to say that more than 70% of all street riders use a free coaster because it allows them to ride their bike backwards without pedaling. This allows for a wide variety of new tricks to be used when riding your bike, which is why it's really popular. The second most popular type of riding style is park. Park BMX is anything where you can ride a skate park. It is really popular with people that like to go high and go fast and have accessibility to multiple parks in their area. Most park riders like to have a really light bike. They like to have brakes. They like to have 2 pegs instead of 4 and a cassette. The cassette allows for pedal pressure that can be used for half cabs, tail taps, specific tricks that you would need a lot of speed for in short distances. So that's why those parts are really popular for park riders. The one issue with riding park is that not all people have skate parks in their area. So if you do decide to ride a park, you might end up riding the same skate park over and over again. So keep that in mind. The next style of riding is dirt. Dirt riding is becoming rarer and rarer because dirt trails are becoming rarer and rarer. Not everybody has accessibility to a private area where they can build dirt trails that won't get destroyed. The brakes allow for a sense of safety when you're riding dirt because you can reach really high speeds. The one issue with riding dirt is that not everybody has a dirt trail in their backyard. In my opinion, the least popular of the 4 styles is flatland. I know flatland was really popular in the 1980s when BMX freestyle was starting to grow its roots. I'd say that most flatland riders are city people that don't have dirt trails, skate park, and have a lot of flat ground that they can use. Flatland riders most of the time run free coasters, 4 pegs. Some are brakeless, some do have brakes, and most importantly, the geometry of the frame is really unique. The one positive with flatland is that anywhere there's flat land, you can ride your bike because you don't really need much. It's just riding your bike on flat land. So let me give you a little example of my personal BMX bike. So this is, I believe it's a 2018 shorty frame. So it's a Colt frame, and this is my 4th frame that I've had. I've gone through 2 complete bikes and 2 frames, 2 aftermarket frames. So this bike pretty much has all aftermarket parts, which add up for a total of about $1,500. And so as you can see, BMX parts can get really expensive. I typically ride more street BMX than anything else. So I have a free coaster, I have no brakes, I have 2 pegs, I have a lot of Colt parts because Colt is local to where I live in Southern California. Alrighty, tip number 4, does height matter? So in my previous video, I saw a lot of questions asking about height and how it has a relation to what bike size you should be riding. So first I'm gonna say that if you're a teenager, if you're in high school and above, you should most likely be riding a 20-inch BMX bike. So the 20 inches is the size of the wheel, the diameter of the wheel. So that's just a general basis. This is all my opinion from what I feel and what I've experienced. If you are taller than 5'6" you should ride a top tube frame length of 20.5 or longer. So if you're shorter than 5'6", I would ride a 20.5 or shorter. So a 20, a 20.25, or a 20.5. Basing your size of your frame is really all feel and what style of riding you want to ride. If you're a street rider and you're shorter than 5'6", riding a 20.5 top tube frame is shorter and it allows you to spin faster, in theory. So take it with a grain of salt. You'll eventually understand your preferences and you can experiment later on. Tip number 5. So I get this question asked a lot in the previous video, and it's really all personal opinion. A lot of people like to buy BMX parts, BMX bikes based off of brand image and the people that ride for those brands. So in my opinion, a lot of these parts companies have developed the same technologies and have shared technologies with each other, so the parts won't be too different in terms of quality. I got a list of a couple brands that I like personally, just based off of branding. Street BMX, 3 brands that I think I would recommend to somebody in no particular order include Fit, Bikeco, Kink, and Colt. These 3 brands I believe support BMX locally, have a good team of riders, and I like their content that they create. For park, the 3 brands that I would recommend would include Odyssey BMX, Fly Bikes, and Profile Racing. These 3 brands have a pretty long history in BMX. For dirt, if you're a dirt rider, I would recommend S&M, Demolition, and Tall Order, and I would recommend it for the same reasons that I'd recommend those other brands. Last but not least, for flatland, no particular order, GT BMX, Deco BMX, and Haro. I recommend these 3 brands because they have a long history in flatland. Tip number 6, what should I pay for a BMX bike? So I told you where to buy these bikes, but I didn't tell you the prices. So for a used bike that you could buy off of Letgo, OfferUp, or Craigslist, I would recommend that you do not spend anything over $250 US. I say this because you don't know the history of the bike, you don't know where it's been, what people have done to it, and $250 seems like a reasonable investment on something that should be costing over $400 regularly. For a BMX bike that you could buy online, I would not spend anything over $300 with shipping and everything included. So this means buy like a $300 complete bike, get the free shipping, and you're good. These bikes don't have the best quality parts, which means you will break them. $300 is a really cheap deal for a complete bike. That should be enough to ignite your interest in BMX and allow you to decide if you want to be riding BMX in the future. If you're buying a bike at a bike shop, I would spend no more than $400 USD. Also, when you buy a bike at a bike shop, you should try to bargain with them because they have the ability to sell the bikes at a lower cost than online retailers. Sometimes if you bring cash, you can get a better deal. Also, you can bargain for a service for that bike in the future. Trying to add this service into your deal when you're buying the bike most of the time work because the bike shop owners know that services need to be performed on bikes. Overall, I hope this video was beneficial to you. I hope this answers some questions from the previous video that I made. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Till next time, thank you.